5 months ago, I stood in front of an English textbook, confused, frustrated, and honestly, a little ashamed. I had spent years avoiding the language, convinced that it was too hard for someone like me. The grammar rules didn't make sense, the vocabulary felt endless, and listening to native speakers. That was like trying to decipher an alien language. I remember one particularly embarrassing moment. I was at a train station, and a tourist asked me for directions in English. I froze. I couldn't even say left or right. I just pointed awkwardly and walked away. That moment stayed with me. It haunted me. And it became the turning point. I made a decision that day. I would learn English no matter what it took. I didn't care if I made mistakes. I didn't care how silly I looked. I just knew I couldn't let fear control me anymore. So, I sat down and made a plan. A real plan. Not just, I'll study more, but a structured, actionable routine. I was going to do this like my life depended on it. Because, in some ways, it did. I started by immersing myself in the language. Every morning, I listened to 30 minutes of English audio. Not just any audio, slow, clear conversations meant for learners. I listened while eating, while walking, even while brushing my teeth. The goal wasn't to understand everything, just to train my brain to hear English sounds without fear. Then came reading. I picked up a graded reader, books written in simple English for learners. The first one I finished was The Missing Coins. Just 500 words, but I felt like I had climbed a mountain. Every new word I encountered, I wrote it down in a notebook. I didn't just memorize meanings. I used those words in sentences, tried to say them out loud, made them part of me. I created what I called language zones. My phone? English only. My YouTube? English subtitles. My Instagram? Follow only English creators. I turned my entire environment into an English training ground. By the end of the first month, I started to notice small changes. I could understand some basic YouTube comments. I could read memes. I could even form full sentences in my head. It was still slow and painful, but it was progress. In month 2, I added something that changed everything. Shadowing. Shadowing is when you listen to a sentence and immediately repeat it out loud, trying to match the speaker's pronunciation, rhythm, and tone. I started with simple dialogues. Hi, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. And you? It felt silly at first, like I was acting in a movie. But it worked. Every day, I shadowed for at least 30 minutes. Sometimes longer. I would pause, repeat, rewind, and repeat again. At first, I sounded like a robot. But slowly, my pronunciation improved. I started to feel the flow of English. Then I began recording myself. I would talk about my day, my plans, what I ate. Anything. I listened to my recordings to catch mistakes. I hated hearing my voice, but it taught me so much. To push myself further, I joined language exchange apps. I talked to strangers from around the world. Some were patient, others not so much. But I kept going. Every awkward silence was a lesson. Every mistake was a step forward. By the end of the second month, I had my first full conversation entirely in English. No switching. No translation. Just me, expressing myself in a new language. It felt incredible. By month 3, I stopped learning English. I started living in it. I replaced my Netflix queue with English shows, starting with subtitles, then turning them off. I began journaling in English every night, writing about my fears, goals, and daily wins. I set my phone assistant to English. I started thinking in English. I even challenged myself to dream in English, and I did. One night I dreamed I was lost in London, asking for directions. And the dream me understood everything. I woke up and cried a little. That's when I knew it was working. One of the biggest breakthroughs came from using English in real life. I volunteered to help at a local tourism event. My job? Talk to international visitors in English. I was terrified. But after the first conversation, something clicked. I wasn't perfect, but I was understood. I was connecting. It wasn't just about words, it was about confidence. I realized fluency wasn't perfection. It was comfort. Being okay with making mistakes and still moving forward. Fluency was the courage to communicate.